Imagine a crowded conference room, the kind where ambition hangs thick in the air, and every glance feels like a judgment. At the center of it all is David, a mid-level manager who's spent years climbing the corporate ladder. He's good at his job, great, even, but there's a weight on his shoulders that no promotion can lift. Today, he's presenting a project he's poured months into, a plan he believes could transform his team's workflow. The slides are polished. The data is airtight. And yet, as he steps to the front of the room, something feels off. David begins speaking, his voice steady, but laced with a subtle plea for approval. He glances at his boss, Karen, who's scrolling through her phone, barely acknowledging him. His colleagues shift in their seats, some whispering, others checking emails. He pushes through, explaining the project's potential, but the room feels colder with every word. Then it happens. A senior colleague, Mark, interrupts mid-sentence. "David, this is all fine, but it's not groundbreaking. Can we move on?" The words cut like a blade, and the room falls silent. Not the respectful silence of anticipation, but the heavy, dismissive kind, the kind that screams, "You're not worth listening to." David freezes. His heart races, but he forces a smile, nodding as if he agrees. "Sure, Mark. No problem," he says, his voice barely above a whisper. He sighed down. The rest of his presentation abandoned. The meeting moves on, but David doesn't. He's trapped in that moment, replaying the interruption, the indifference, the way his carefully prepared words dissolved into nothing. He wonders why this keeps happening, why his ideas, his presence, his very existence seem to vanish in rooms like this. What David doesn't see is that the problem isn't his project or his delivery. It's deeper. It's the way he carries himself, the way he's taught others to treat him. Months ago, when Karen dismissed his suggestion in a team meeting, he laughed it off, saying, "Oh, it was just a thought." When Mark took credit for his work in a report, David stayed silent, thinking, it's not worth the fight. When a junior colleague ignored his feedback, he let it slide, not wanting to seem difficult. Over time, these small surrenders built a pattern. David's silence wasn't humility. It was a signal that said, "I don't value myself, so why should you?" The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who mastered the art of living with dignity, would see David's story clearly. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." David's distress in that conference room wasn't just Mark's interruption or Karen's indifference. It was his own lack of self-respect, radiating outward, inviting others to mirror it. He didn't demand respect because he never believed he deserved it. Picture David again, sitting in that chair after the meeting, staring at the floor. The room has emptied, but the weight remains. He could have pushed back when Mark cut him off. He could have calmly restated his point, holding the room's attention with quiet confidence. He could have chosen to act as if his voice mattered, but he didn't. And in that choice, or lack of one, he reinforced the cycle. The silence that followed wasn't just in the room, it was within him. A silence born of self-doubt, of years spent seeking validation from others instead of claiming it for himself. This isn't just David's story, it's a story many of us know too well. Maybe it's not a conference room for you. Maybe it's a family dinner where your opinions are brushed aside. Maybe it's a friendship where you're always the one compromising. Maybe it's a relationship where you feel invisible, no matter how much you give. The details change, but the pattern is the same. When you fail to respect yourself, you teach others to do the same. You become complicit in your own diminishment. The Stoics would tell you This doesn't have to be your story. Epictetus, a former slave who rose to become one of history's greatest thinkers, taught that true freedom begins with controlling what's in your power. Your thoughts, your actions, your self-worth. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent, he might say, echoing a modern sentiment often attributed to Eleanor Roosevelt. David's silence in that meeting wasn't just a reaction, it was a choice to let others define his value, a choice to stay small. But what if David had chosen differently? What if, in that moment of interruption, had paused, looked Mark in the eye, and said, with calm conviction, "I'd like to finish my point, because I believe it's worth hearing." What if he'd stood taller, not out of arrogance, but out of a quiet certainty in his own worth? The room might have stayed silent, but it would have been a different kind of silence, one of respect, not dismissal. A silence that says, this person knows who they are. This story sets the stage for what we're diving into today. Why people don't respect you, and how it often stems from not respecting yourself first. We'll explore why this happens, how Stoicism offers a path to reclaiming your dignity, and practical steps to build an unshakable sense of self-worth, an aura that's calm, steady, and commanding, without ever begging for approval. Because the truth is, respect isn't something you earn from others. It's something you claim for yourself. In the story of David, we saw how a single moment of silence in a conference room echoed a deeper truth. Disrespect from others often mirrors the disrespect we show ourselves. But why does this happen? Why do people seem to sense our insecurities and exploit them, treating us as if our voices, our boundaries, and our worth are negotiable? The answer lies not in the malice of others, but in the subtle signals we send through our actions or inactions. As Stoics like Epictetus remind us, we cannot control the behavior of others, but we can control how we respond to it. Yet, when we fail to respond with self-respect, we invite the very treatment we fear. Let's delve deeper into this, exploring the psychological roots, the Stoic perspective on self-worth, real-life examples, and the long-term consequences of allowing this cycle to persist. At its core, the reason others disrespect you stems from a fundamental psychological principle. Human interactions are built on reciprocity and perception. People treat us based on how we present ourselves. If you consistently diminish your own value by apologizing excessively, avoiding confrontation, or seeking constant validation, you broadcast a message that says, "My needs are secondary, yours come first." This isn't about blaming the victim. It's about understanding the dynamics of social signaling. Psychologists call this self-fulfilling prophecy, where our beliefs about ourselves shape reality. If you believe you're unworthy of respect, your behavior aligns with that belief, and others follow suit. From a Stoic viewpoint, this lack of self-respect violates the core principle of living in accordance with nature and virtue. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." The Stoics believed that true worth comes from internal virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, not from external approval. When you neglect these, you surrender your power to the whims of others. Epictetus, who endured slavery, yet maintained unbreakable dignity, emphasized the dichotomy of control. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Your self-respect is entirely up to you. By not claiming it, you allow external forces, people's opinions, societal expectations to define you. This is why disrespect flourishes. It's not that others are inherently cruel. It's that you've left the door open for them to walk through. Consider everyday scenarios where this plays out. In the workplace, like David's case, it might start small. You stay late every night, taking on extra tasks without complaint, hoping your boss notices your dedication, but instead of appreciation, you're given more work, with no recognition. Why? Because you've taught them that your time and effort are limitless and undervalued. You didn't set boundaries, so they assume none exist. A colleague borrows your ideas in meetings, and you say nothing, fearing you'll seem petty. Over time, this erodes your standing. You're seen as reliable but replaceable, someone who won't push back. The Stoics would urge you to reflect. Is this living virtuously? Seneca advised, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Learning to value your contributions means speaking up, not out of anger, but out of a calm assertion of justice. In personal relationships, the pattern is even more intimate and damaging. Imagine a friendship where you're always the listener, the supporter, but when you need advice, your friend changes the subject or offers half-hearted responses. Why do they disregard your needs? Because you've conditioned them to. Perhaps you downplay your problems, saying, "It's not a big deal," or you forgive repeated cancellations without expressing disappointment. This isn't kindness, it's self-abnegation. The Stoics viewed friendships as partnerships in virtue, not one-sided sacrifices. Epictetus taught that we should associate with those who elevate us. But first, we must elevate ourselves. By not demanding mutual respect, you perpetuate a dynamic where your role is to give, not to receive. Over months or years, this breeds resentment, not just in you, but in the relationship itself, as imbalance leads to erosion. Romantic relationships amplify this further. Picture someone in a partnership where their opinions are routinely dismissed. That's silly, their partner says. When they share a dream or concern, instead of challenging it, they laugh it off or withdraw, fearing conflict. This signals that their thoughts aren't worth defending, inviting more dismissal. Psychologically, this ties into attachment theory. If you have an anxious attachment style, you might prioritize harmony over self-assertion, but this only deepens the disrespect. Stoicism offers a counter. Focus on what you control your responses. Marcus Aurelius reflected, reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. But rejection here means active reclamation, not passive acceptance. By not addressing the slight, you reinforce it, teaching your partner that your boundaries are permeable. Family dynamics provide another layer. Adult children often face parents who overstep, critiquing choice or invading privacy. If you respond with silence or compliance, it continues. Why? Because from childhood, patterns of deference were set, and without re-evaluation, they persist. The Stoics encouraged constant self-examination. Examine yourself. Scrutinize yourself, said Epictetus. Recognizing that family respect must be mutual is key. Failing to assert your autonomy signals that you're still the child, not the equal adult. Now, let's expand on the long-term consequences of this cycle, because understanding the cost can be the catalyst for change. First, on a personal level, chronic disrespect erodes self-esteem, leading to a downward spiral. You begin to internalize the treatment, questioning your worth. Even more, this manifests as anxiety, depression, or burnout, common in those who constantly yield. Studies in psychology, drawing from cognitive behavioral therapy, show that repeated invalidation rewires the brain toward negativity bias, making it harder to see your own value. Stoically, This is a failure to practice indifference to externals. Seneca warned, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." But when disrespect becomes reality through our inaction, the suffering is real and compounded professionally. The repercussions are tangible. Opportunities pass you by because you're not seen as a leader. Promotions go to those who assert themselves, even if less skilled. Networks weaken as people gravitate toward confident individuals. In a competitive world, this can stall careers, leading to financial strain and regret. Consider historical figures. Cato the Younger, a Stoic exemplar, faced immense opposition in Rome, but commanded respect through unwavering principles. He didn't beg for it, he embodied it, even in defeat. In relationships, long-term disrespect fosters toxicity. Friendships fade as you withdraw, feeling unvalued. Romantic bonds break under the weight of inequality, often ending in painful separations. Families fracture, with unresolved resentments, creating generational patterns. The Stoics saw this as a moral failing. Living without justice toward oneself dishonors the rational soul. Socially, the impact ripples outward. When you allow disrespect, you normalize it, contributing to cultures where bullying or inequality thrives. On a broader scale, this affects communities. Think workplaces with high turnover or societies where voices are silenced. But as Stoics, we start with the individual. Change yourself, and the world around you shifts. Yet, there's hope in this analysis. Recognizing why others disrespect you because you've not respected yourself is the first step toward empowerment. It's not about becoming aggressive or aloof. It's about cultivating an inner fortress of virtue. As we move forward, we'll explore how Stoicism guides this transformation, teaching you to build respect from within. Remember, the power to end this cycle is yours. Claim it. Stoicism, born in Athens around 300 BCE under Zeno of Citium, was shaped into a practical philosophy by thinkers like Epictetus, our former slave, Seneca, advisor to emperors, and Marcus Aurelius, Rome's philosopher king. This isn't a doctrine of passive endurance or suppressed emotions. It's about mastering what you can control: your thoughts, actions, values, and letting go of what you cannot, like the opinions of others. Epictetus framed this as the dichotomy of control, teaching that your worth lies in virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. When you anchor your life in these, you build an inner dignity that commands respect without begging for it. Today, social media magnifies every slight. Workplace tensions simmer like battlefields. Yet Stoicism offers a path to unshakable self-worth. It's not about silencing your emotions or chasing applause. It's about living with integrity. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself." In your way of thinking, when you root your value in virtue, not external validation, others' disrespect loses its sting. Let's explore how Stoicism builds this inner fortress, drawing on its key figures, practical steps for setting boundaries, and a historical example that proves its power. Begin with Epictetus, whose life embodies Stoic resilience. Born into slavery, he could have let his circumstances define him. Instead, he declared in his discourses, "God has entrusted me with myself. No man is free who is not master of himself." This belief in self-mastery is the cornerstone of dignity. In his Enchiridion, he advises handling criticism with humor. If someone speaks ill of you, reply, "He was ignorant of my other faults," else he would have mentioned them too. By detaching from others' judgments, you protect your worth. You control the narrative, not the critic. How does this wisdom apply now? Imagine a workplace where your boss dismisses your ideas. Their criticism reflects their biases, not your value. Stoicism empowers you to respond with calm resolve. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." Reframe the slight as external, beyond your control. Stay composed, and you project strength. Colleagues notice. You're not swayed by petty attacks. This quiet confidence earns respect over time. Seneca, the practical Stoic, emphasizes boundaries. In his letters to Lucilius, he writes, "Nothing proves a well-ordered mind better than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company." Solitude isn't isolation. It's a boundary that honors your worth. Seneca adds, "If you want to escape what harasses you, be a different person, not in a different place." In friendships, this means saying no without guilt. If a friend demands your time excessively, respond, "I value our bond, but I need space for my own goals." This upholds justice, a Stoic virtue, fostering mutual respect. Marcus Aurelius ties self-worth to ethical living. In his Meditations, he reflects, "We love ourselves more than others, yet care more about their opinion than our own." To break this paradox, he practiced daily reflection. Did I act with courage today? Was I just in my dealings? Apply this by addressing oversteps calmly. "I value your perspective, but I'll decide based on my judgment." This isn't arrogance, it's clarity, rooted in virtue. Aurelius advises, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Such discipline builds a steady presence, unlike modern self-help, which often pushes relentless positivity or quick fixes. Stoicism embraces reality. Self-help might urge you to fake it till you make it. Stoicism demands authenticity. Live by virtue, and respect follows. This distinction matters in a world obsessed with superficial solutions. Stoicism doesn't promise universal admiration. It ensures you respect yourself, which is the foundation for others' respect. How can we apply this in daily life? Social media tempts us to chase likes and comments. Epictetus would urge, in his discourses, "Seek not the good in external things, seek it in yourselves." Limit your exposure. Focus on real-world virtues like helping a colleague or standing firm in your values. In family dynamics, where old patterns of disrespect persist, Seneca's wisdom applies. It is not the man who has too little that is poor, but the one who hankers after more. Don't crave approval, offer it selectively, based on merit. This sets boundaries, strengthening relationships. Consider a historical example. Epictetus endured a cruel master who broke his leg, causing lifelong lameness. Yet he focused on mental freedom, saying in his discourses, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master." Freed, he taught philosophy, influencing Marcus Aurelius himself. Seneca faced exile and forced suicide under Nero, but wrote in his letters, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." Marcus, amid wars and plagues, journaled in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Their lives prove dignity is a choice, not a circumstance. To practice Stoicism, start with journaling. Each night, list what you controlled that day, your reactions, your efforts. Try premeditatio malorum. Imagine potential slights and plan calm responses, like, "I'll address this with clarity, not anger." Meditate on Epictetus's words. First, say to yourself what you would be. Then do what you have to do. In conflicts, pause, as Aurelius suggests. The best answer to anger is silence. These habits forge a steady, commanding presence. Stoicism offers inner sovereignty, not universal praise. Seneca wrote in his letters, "Withdraw into yourself, as far as you can. From this strength, respect emerges naturally." Next, we'll explore how to build that aura chaka calm, unyielding presence that speaks louder than words. You've learned how Stoicism anchors your worth in virtue, not external approval. But how do you turn this inner strength into a presence others can't ignore, a calm and resolute aura that commands respect without a word? The Stoics lived their principles, transforming adversity into opportunity. Marcus Aurelius, leading an empire through chaos, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the calm and resolute aura, a quiet confidence that shines through actions, not pleas for recognition. Let's break down 3 practical steps to cultivate this presence: building inner dignity, setting clear boundaries, and embodying confidence through action. We'll include Stoic exercises, real-world applications, and an inspiring example to guide you. Step 1. Building inner dignity through daily practice. Ready to take control of your inner strength. The foundation of a commanding presence is inner dignity, forged by aligning with virtue, not chasing others' opinions. Epictetus taught in his discourses, "First, say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." Start each morning by asking, "What kind of person do I want to be today?" A just colleague, a courageous friend. Write down one virtue: courage, wisdom, justice, temperance, and commit to it. For example, choose courage and speak up in a meeting where you'd usually stay silent. Small, consistent acts build an unshakable core. Try the Stoic evening reflection, inspired by Seneca's letters to Lucilius. He wrote, "Examine your entire day and consider all your actions. Before bed, journal. 3 questions. What did I do well? Where did I fall short? How can I improve tomorrow?" If you hesitated to correct a colleague who took your work, reflect, "I lacked courage. Tomorrow, I'll state my contribution calmly." This nightly habit, practiced for a month, reshapes how you see yourself. You become someone worthy of respect, not because others say so, but because you live virtuously. How does this translate into daily habits? At work, stop over-apologizing. Phrases like, "Sorry, it's just my opinion," signal doubt. Instead, say, "Here's my perspective." In friendships, don't always defer. Suggest your own plans. "Let's try this restaurant." These choices signal your worth is non-negotiable. Over time, this conviction shapes how others perceive you. Step 2. Setting clear boundaries in relationships. Now, how do you protect that inner strength? A calm and resolute aura requires boundaries, lines that safeguard your dignity while fostering mutual respect. Seneca wrote in his letters, "It is not the man who has too little that is poor, but the one who hankers after more, craving approval, sacrifices autonomy." Boundaries reverse this, showing your time and values are sacred. They don't require confrontation, just clarity and consistency. Rooted in Stoic justice, identify where boundaries are needed. At work, if a colleague interrupts constantly, pause and say, "I'd like to finish my point." In a family where your opinions are dismissed, assert, "I hear you, but I see it differently, and I'd like to explain." These responses are firm, not aggressive, showing you value your voice. Consistency matters. Sporadic boundaries teach others. They can push past. Practice premeditatio malorum. A Stoic exercise. Each morning, visualize challenges. A friend ignoring your call. A boss criticizing unfairly. Plan your response. I'll say, let's discuss this respectfully. For example, imagine a coworker dismissing your idea. Rehearse. I'll calmly restate my point and invite feedback. Practice this for a week, and you'll shift from reactive to prepared. This readiness creates a steady presence. Others sense you won't bend. In relationships, boundaries are vital. If your partner dismisses your feelings, don't laugh it off. Say, when you say that, it feels like my perspective isn't valued. Let's talk. This invites dialogue, reinforcing your worth. As Epictetus said in his Enchiridion, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Consistent boundaries teach others to respect you. Step 3. Embodying confidence through action, not words. What makes this aura undeniable? Actions, not words. Prove your worth. Marcus Aurelius advised in his Meditations, waste no time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. A commanding presence isn't loud, it's the quiet power of doing what's right. Align your behavior with virtue, even when it's hard. At work, deliver your best, not for praise, but because it's just. In relationships, listen actively, not to be liked, but because it's wise. In a meeting, if someone takes credit for your idea, don't stiff. Wait for a pause and say, I'm glad you like the idea I proposed. Here's how we can expand it. This claims justice calmly. The room notices. You're not begging for credit, you're owning it. In social settings, walk away from gossip, signaling integrity. In family dynamics, keep your word, show up as promised. Try the Stoic discipline of action. Each day, choose one act outside your comfort zone that aligns with virtue. If you're shy, start a conversation with a colleague. If you avoid conflict, address an overstep. I noticed you've been late to our meetings. Can we fix this? Track these in your journal. Over weeks, they compound, creating a presence others can't ignore. The Stoic aura versus modern confidence. What sets this calm and resolute aura apart from today's confidence? Modern culture often mistakes confidence for loudness or self-promotion, to think influencers chasing likes. Stoicism rejects this. It's oraike, rooted in consistent virtue, not external validation. You don't boast, your actions speak. This authenticity makes the Stoic presence enduring, not fleeting like superficial confidence. A modern example. The quiet power of Keanu Reeves. Look at Keanu Reeves, a modern embodiment of this aura. Despite personal tragedies, loss of loved ones, public scrutiny, he carries himself with quiet dignity. In interviews, listant deeply, responds thoughtfully, never seeking the spotlight. When a fan asks for an autograph, he connects, not just signs. On film sets, he's shared salaries with struggling crew members. These acts aren't loud, they're powerful. People respect him because his life reflects virtue, not because he demands it. Keanu mirrors Stoic principles. He focuses on what he controls: kindness, work ethic, and ignores public opinion. His aura is earned through action. Emulate this. Choose one virtuous act daily, like helping a stranger or standing firm in your values. These choices build a presence that draws respect naturally. Stoic exercises for daily practice. To solidify this aura, try these Stoic exercises. Morning commitment. Write one virtue to embody, e.g., today, I'll be courageous, Act on it once. Premeditatio malorum. Visualize a challenge. E.g. a critical boss. Rehearse. I'll respond with clarity. Evening reflection. Journal. What did I do well? Where did I fall short? How can I improve? Discipline of action. Pick one daily virtuous act outside your comfort zone. Track it for 30 days. In practice, if someone interrupts at work, say, "I'd like to finish." If a friend takes you for granted, ask for reciprocity. "I'd love your input." These steps transform how you're seen. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Bringing it all together. Building a calm and resolute aura isn't about changing others. It's about transforming yourself through inner dignity, firm boundaries, and virtuous action. You create a presence that speaks louder than words. Stoicism teaches that respect begins within. Live as someone worthy of it, and others will follow. Next, we'll wrap up with a call to action, showing how this journey reshapes your world. We began with David, whose silence in a conference room revealed a painful truth. When you don't value yourself, others follow suit. His story showed how small surrenders, staying quiet, seeking approval, create a cycle of disrespect. We explored why this happens. Your lack of self-value sends signals, inviting others to overlook you. Stoicism taught us to reclaim dignity by focusing on what you control: your thoughts, actions, virtues. Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius showed that true dignity stems from wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. We then outlined steps to build a calm and resolute aura, forging inner strength, setting firm boundaries, and proving your worth through action. Now, let's tie this together and ignite your journey toward lasting dignity. Stoicism isn't a quick fix. It's a lifelong practice, a daily commitment to virtue. Mistakes are not failures, they're lessons, as the Stoics teach. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Every choice, choosing courage over silence, justice over compliance, wisdom over reaction, strengthens your inner fortress." This journey reshapes how you see yourself, moving you from begging for validation to commanding dignity, naturally, ready to make dignity your reality. Start today. Choose one Stoic practice. Try the morning commitment. Write down a virtue, like courage, and act on it. If a colleague interrupts, say, "I'd like to finish." If a friend takes you for granted, assert, "I value our time, but I need balance." Or practice the evening reflection. Journal. What did I do well? Where did I fall short? How can I improve? These small acts, done consistently, rewire your habits. As Seneca wrote in his letters, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Each step builds a presence others can't ignore. Why does this transformation matter? When you value yourself, you break the cycle of diminishment. At work, colleagues notice your steady confidence. Opportunities come your way. In relationships, boundaries foster mutual respect, deepening bonds. A friend who dismissed you starts to listen. A partner who took you for granted values your voice, even in families. Your calm assertion shifts old patterns. You become a beacon of virtue, inspiring others. As Epictetus said in his Enchiridion, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." Your change ripples outward, reshaping your world. This journey brings inner freedom, the Stoic promise of living true to yourself. You'll stumble. Self-doubt may creep in. You might hesitate to enforce a boundary. That's okay. Stoicism embraces the process, not perfection, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." When you falter, pause, reflect, try again. Persistence is your power. Every virtuous act reclaims your dignity, building a life where you stand, tall, unshaken by others' opinions. Picture yourself a month from now, practicing these principles daily. You enter a room, not seeking approval, but carrying quiet strength. Your words are measured, your actions deliberate. People listen when you speak. They value your presence not because you demanded it, but because you embody it. You're like Keanu Reeves, whose quiet dignity draws admiration, or Epictetus, whose inner freedom triumphed over slavery. This is the Stoic way, a life of purpose, grounded in virtue, radiating dignity. What's holding you back from starting today? Take one step. Write down a virtue and live it. Set one boundary and hold it. Reflect tonight on your progress. Commit to this path, not for others, but for yourself. Seneca wrote in his letters, "Withdraw into yourself, as far as you can. From that strength, everything changes." You don't need validation, you validate yourself. And when you do, the world follows. Begin now. Your journey to dignity starts with you.